Singapore's bus or rail financing framework. And this will help you see how it works. Okay, so if you look at Singapore's bus or rail financing framework, previously, okay, the operator has a lot on its hands. They need to buy and maintain infrastructure. Okay, so they have to buy the vehicles, they have to maintain for the MRT operator, they have to maintain the tracks, and it's a tall order. A lot of investment is required. Okay, effectively, this makes it a natural monopoly. It doesn't make sense to have two operators having overlapping railway tracks. It's not efficient. So we only desired one producer. Okay, and what happened? There were some performance issues. So the government decided that something needs to be done. Okay, so they found a way to make it more contestable. Whenever you are thinking of the criteria, okay, to assess whether something is contestable, use ETC. So what is ETC? Generally, if your entry or your exit cost is low, the market is more contestable. You're probably aware, right? Contestability doesn't refer to actual competition. It's not competitiveness. We are referring to the threat of competition. Okay? That means they can come in. They have not come in yet. Okay? Contestable markets are generally cases where the technology access is quite high. It's not very hard to come up with the same technology to produce your goods or to run your service. So if you talk about building rockets, I think technology access is very high. That market is not contestable. And consumer loyalty is also not very strong. Okay. And because we are talking about threat of entry, which is very similar to actual competition, you will see that these points actually overlap with what? Barriers to entry. Okay? So they overlap with your barriers to entry. If the entry cost is low, barriers to entry are low. Technology access is low or high. Okay? Consumer loyalty is not strong. Barriers are also low. Something that's really unique to contestability will be your exit cost. Exit cost means they come in, right? And then when they have taken away, siphoned off some of your profits, they can leave with very low cost. How? They come in, after that they can sell all their machinery, sell everything away, recoup some of their investments, and then run away. Okay, so to that extent, sometimes we see this thing called a hit and run strategy. Let's say, oh, tuition industry is doing quite well. Some people come in, hit the market, teach for 1 year, and then after that sell off the tables and chairs and the photocopying machine, and then exit. Just to skim off some of your profits. Okay? So this is the first thing you might want to remember, ETC. Okay. So I said in Singapore what we did, okay, under the rail financing framework or the bus financing framework, okay, is that the operator, now the operator only runs the service, right? Only runs the service. The government buys and maintains the infrastructure. Okay, so that's the change from the parts in red to the part in blue. The bus or the rail financing framework works like this. This means it's more contestable. Why? Because your entry cost has become lower. Am I right? And also you have contract terms. So there's not much consumer loyalty. Because the government will say, okay, you serve this contract. If after that your performance is good, I'll give you an extension. It's not like a case where, we sign a 50-year contract. Okay? So there's not much consumer loyalty to speak of. Of course, the producer or the operator can be replaced if is not efficient, or if performance is not satisfactory. Okay? So if I look at ETC, entry cost, E, consumer loyalty, C, they have all changed. Even technology access, now you don't need to really know how to run your sleeper tracks on the railway. You don't need so much expertise. You just need to know how to drive the trains and be on time. Okay? Okay, so consumer loyalty is a case where people are really brand conscious and all. But now, when we think about the operators, they are dealing with the government, not dealing directly with us. So it's not like I give you the contract. Okay? Now let's look at what has changed. Yes,
When you say government buy everything,
yeah, they take over, they pay for all the buses. Yeah. Okay, so that's the financing framework now. Okay. So earlier on, I said monopoly power is bad because of cadet X. Then the ED is Y is good. Okay. So I say E is for economies of scale, D is for dynamic efficiency. But now let's look at what happens to consumer surplus. Under the new financing framework, I expect this to increase. Why? Because now the operator is less likely to jack up the price, to pump up the price to siphon off consumer surplus. If you offer a very expensive quotation, oh, now trains, buses, I'm going to charge them so much. Guess what? You will not get the contract the next round. Okay? And that means with lower price, the loss of AE will be reduced. Allocative inefficiency is now lesser. Okay? And that also means day rate loss is smaller. Follow? Of course, equity improves. Now, in the past, the public transport fares were not really very expensive because they were all regulated also by the Public Transport Council. Okay? But now we are saying with this model, we expect these to happen. Are you okay? Like I said, the T here just means how you explain your diagram, theory or firm. Okay? I expect X inefficiency to fall. Can you imagine if you win the contract, but you're X inefficient? Lack of staff, for example, or rather not lack of staff, but complacency. Your trains are always late. Service is very sluggish, very bad. Chances are the operator will lose the contract. You know what? Now, there's greater incentive to pass on EOS gains and dynamic efficiency gains, or even to conduct R&D in the first place, because the firm wants to stay competitive. Okay. So in this case, we are going to see smiling faces for everything, which is why making a market more contestable is not a bad idea. Compared to things like MC pricing. MC pricing, as I mentioned, the firm makes a loss. AC pricing, you encourage X inefficiency.